is whatever your call is. Actualize and realize we come here to balance these violent times. Warriors of peace, ambassadors of love, always staying centered when push comes to shove. Third eye wide open and dancing to music, accepting our power and knowing how to use it. Coming together we circle the globe, seeing the oneness our chakras are glowing. Our vibrations where we want it to be, keeping high. You know how it feels to be free. And all you gotta do to understand these ways is breathe real deep and enjoy each day. Work selflessly with others and we're lost and together. Tomorrow is now and there's beautiful weather, so breathe. Yeah. Breathe in the air. Yeah, take a deep breath. It's everywhere. Heal my spirit, heal my body, heal my soul. Oh, I know who I am. Consciousness spinning through sacred air.
That always makes me feel so much better. Breathe.
I'm so happy.
It's always good to remember to breathe.
Well, it's good to breathe.
Well, yeah. Good morning, Lake County. Terry Larson.
And Pete the Tax Guy. Good morning, everyone.
And we are here with you on Lake County Magazine, here to entertain, inform, and possibly incite you.
And even humor them sometimes, maybe. Whatever.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I like to think we make people laugh. I don't know. I bet.
No comment.
I'll bet the videos really make people laugh.
Say that's them, really? We listen to those two?
For real. Yeah. So, yeah, you can watch our show, also replays on Lake County Magazine's website and also on Channel 8 once a week at least.
Friday night, 9:30 to 11:30.
That's right. And then maybe even a replay on Saturday. I'm not sure.
I think 11 to 1.
In that schedule. But, yeah, I mean, if you can't do without us for a week or if you miss the show, you can always go there and catch up. So, let's see where we're at here. Speaking of catching up, how did we do this week?
I did fine, thank you.
It was a holiday weekend.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, how did we do this week? Well, let's see.
It was a nice weekend.
Saturday, we had a little meeting at the Riviera, whatever you call it.
Oh, yeah. Some of the people that are recalling Rob Brown got together on Saturday and did some strategizing. So if you're interested in recalling Rob Brown, there will be somebody most likely over at the Clear Lake Riviera in the Market Coffee Shop area on the weekends. And they're also, I think, trying to get some other locations set up. And as soon as those locations are set, we'll let you know where they're at. But they are moving forward and the signatures are being gathered and things are happening. It's just they don't feel a need to be out in the open and
They're using different strategies.
yeah, and then the Rivera recall, which,
Right.
by the way, is underway. The counting is underway still. Have not heard anything from Diane Fridley on that, but it is still happening, and I guess we'll find out soon enough if they have enough signatures.
Right.
So hopefully, or not, depending on what side of the fence you're on,
Yep.
they will get to the bottom of it. Okay,
Yeah.
so that was Saturday.
Sunday.
Friday, what did we do Friday? Didn't we do
Friday we worked.
Oh, yeah.
Duh.
Well, we worked Friday in the office.
Yes.
Yeah, but Friday night we didn't do anything.
No, we didn't.
See, it's all a blur to
It's
me.
a blur. And then Sunday we went
Sailing.
sailing.
That was fun.
And for all those who think we're bourgeois, we're not. We just happen to have.
If you think we're bourgeoisie, you can watch us try to put the boat in the slip.
Hey, we did much better this time. I took a direct right-on approach this time instead of trying to steer the rudder and the motor and the acceleration and deacceleration of the engine all at the same time.
Well, we
into the
had
slip.
people with us, so it made it a lot
Yeah,
easier.
actually, it was much better this time.
Yes, our friends came up from Santa Rosa, one of Peter's baseball buddies, Remus Glaude. We actually...
Is that how you pronounce it? Glaude?
Glaude, yes. He's half French.
Yes.
Yes. So, but him and his partner Kate came down or up from Santa Rosa, and we took him out on the lake. It was really nice.
It was
just
nice out
so relaxing. The winds were perfect.
Yeah, the winds finally picked up a little bit towards late afternoon, so we actually started getting some good speed underneath our belt.
Yeah, it's so nice to get on the lake. I just really appreciate it, and even with all the problems of cyanobacteria, etc., if you're not in it, you're fine.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was our Sunday. Yes.
Oh, and then we went to Richmond Park, didn't we?
Yeah, afterwards, that's right.
Yeah, and had something to eat.
Yep.
That's such a great environment over there.
It is
I
fun,
really
yeah.
enjoy going there. It just reminds me of the Caribbean and feel like you're just on the beach bar. And
Yeah, I just wish they had table service.
you know, that is a little weird.
It
If
is.
anybody has never been there, it's kind of like a sports bar menu, and they the food is good. The burgers are actually really good. And they have veggie burgers, and they can make them any way that any of the other burgers are made. So you can get what you need, and it's just weird. You have to go to a takeout window and place your order. They give you one of those little electronic thingies that lights up and vibrates when your food's ready. And then when your food's ready, you go pick it up. And if you're having more than one drink at the bar, they hold your card. Is that right?
Yep, you got to go to the bar to get your drink if you want. So I'm sorry, folks. I mean, it's a nice place. I love it. I just wish they had.
And they
table
have
service.
staff. So I'm not quite sure what the staff is there for, except just to clean tables.
Well, it cuts down their labor force because they won't have to have 2 or 3 wait staff on duty for the inside and outside.
And I guess it keeps the prices down.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is good. You know, it is
Yeah.
moderately priced,
It's
and the food is
for
decent.
Northern California, it's moderately priced.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I had the shrimp Louis last time. It wasn't bad.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was our weekend. Big deal.
Yeah. Sorry.
Didn't do anything Monday. I thought we were supposed to go to San Francisco, but that's
Never made
next
it.
Monday.
But look what we accomplished.
I know. We redid our bedroom. I felt like we were on HGTV.
The folks out here have no clue what you just said.
Oh, yeah, because so many people don't watch TV.
But then even if they
Home
do
and
watch
Garden
TV,
Television
yeah.
is HGTV. Okay,
Yeah.
they do remodels and remakes and all that kind of stuff. And we did a redo of our bedroom, our
Yeah.
master bedroom.
I fixed the shower door and got
Well,
some.
By the way, it's crooked. We have to fix that.
I can't help that. How old is that bloody door?
The house was built in 1984.
Thank you. I can't help if our house slopes down towards the lake.
Oh, I don't think it does. No, it's not the house. It's the handle.
Well, the handle. You know how you put that handle on? It's not exactly the most technologically advanced
Right,
mechanism.
so why is it so hard to get it straight?
Never mind. I'm not going to get into that.
Sorry, folks, little husband and wife.
For you
answer
handy,
here
for you handy people out there, it's a shower door handle that it has like a sliding mechanism that goes into the rubber gasket a metal
Well, it's
frame.
a glass shower door, so it has a bar that goes across.
Right.
That's like a towel rack, and
Right.
it also
And it's
is
held
the
in-
latch for the door.
And it's held in place by friction and a one screw pressing against it. So let's not go down that
So
road.
straightening it out shouldn't be a
Well,
problem.
then just push down on it.
I tried. It didn't move.
Well, you're female.
Sorry. Excuse me for being a female. Okay, so we do have a caller. Let's take
Well,
it
really?
quick.
Must
yeah.
be the lake report.
Hello, you're on the air.
I'm a resident. My name's Robin. I want
Hi,
to send a
Robin.
message out to Claude. He gave me a ride yesterday, and I left my purse in his truck.
Oh, my goodness.
goodness.
Okay, so Claude, if you're listening, tell me your name again.
My name's Robin.
Hi, Robin left her bag in your truck when she got the
Yeah.
ride. That's a bummer. Well, do you know where to find him?
I don't know where to find him, and I wish he would give me a phone call, and I could give him my phone number.
Okay. Well, I don't know if you want to give the phone number on the air.
Okay.
But if you want to call the business line, you can probably leave your number there, and then if he calls, then they can give it to him.
Okay.
That would
Thank
be the
you.
best thing. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Claude, if you found a lady's purse in your car, or truck rather, please call KPFZ and see if we can reunite them back together.
Especially if you're married. Sorry.
Don't think the wifey would like that too much.
Dear, what's that handbag in your car? Are you cross-dressing these days, or?
No, I would never, ever believe any answer like, oh, I gave a lady a ride.
You wouldn't trust me if I said that to you?
No, you're guilty, man. As soon as that would happen.
You see, guys.
No mercy.
We have no chance in heck to survive any of this thing. So never pick up a female. That's my motto. I never pick up a female hitchhiker.
Yeah.
Because
you never know what could happen.
Well, number one, you just don't know what the mindset that person could be, and you just don't want to go down that road. But for other reasons, especially if you're married,
But
that's
knowing
the last thing.
you probably don't pick up male hitchhikers either.
No. Now, I will stop on the side of the road and help people if their car or their motorcycle is broken down.
Right?
So.
Oh, that's good.
But I'm not going to. No, I don't pitch up hitchhikers. So, anywho, let's continue this.
Alrighty.
Let's not bore everybody.
No, I'm ready to move on.
Okay.
So, other things that happened during the week?
I'm trying to think. My mind really was
Well,
a blur.
big news from last night is Ariel Castro, the gentleman that had held those 3 women captive for so long, killed himself allegedly last night.
He hung himself in his cell.
And he was on some kind of a high security watch where they were checking him like every 30 minutes, right?
Yes.
So to me, it's kind of weird that he had the time to really put together something, but he obviously did. So he's no longer with us. Now, the man had gotten a life sentence plus 1,000 years.
Right.
So I guess he decided to put an end to the monotony and just get it over with now.
Yeah, but I don't think he's going up.
Oh, hell no.
Literally.
I just said it.
Yeah. So, and, we were not going to really discuss this too much today, and we're not going to really, but it was, in case people missed it, he did allegedly commit suicide, hung himself in the jail.
Yeah,
So,
in Ohio.
which, the only way he can do that is with his bed sheets, because that's the only thing they have inside the
You would think
maximum
so, yeah.
protective custody.
But that would also take a lot of time to configure it and everything.
Well-
That's why I wonder with 30-minute watches, was somebody not doing their job?
What they
or-
do,
Did they give him a hand?
Okay. What they say is, oh, well, we go in and search the cell every 30 minutes. That's not true, folks. What they do is they look through the window to make sure he's still alive and not bleeding all over the place. And as long as they see breath or body movement, he's okay. So it's very feasible. He could have got the sheets ready to tie the knot or whatever, how he did himself in. So, and honestly, I'm not saying this did happen because I just don't know, but it's very easy for the correctional officers to look the other way every 30 minutes and not
Well,
pay
that's
attention.
what I'm saying. Who is really doing their job? you
So,
know?
but anyway, it's not that difficult to
Were
do.
they doing their
Oh my gosh, 2 calls already.
Okay. Hello, you're on the air.
All right, ready for the lake report?
See, told you he was calling.
Hey.
Good morning.
Doesn't he always?
But I guess that guy didn't value life very much, and his wasn't worth anything, and so he checked.
Exactly.
Yeah, the world's probably a better place. Why burden the taxpayers?
Yeah. So the lake was awesome this weekend. We did have a blip on Saturday. It looked like there was going to be a really bad algae bloom, and the people kept driving their boats through, and the wind came up in the evening, and the lake has been beautiful ever since. So we made some real friends this weekend. I'll tell you, the kids were having a ball in this lake. It was great.
I'm so glad to hear it. Yeah, it was actually busy when we went
Yes.
out on Sunday. We went to the North Lake side because the South Lake was so packed with power boats. It's not fun sailing around power boats. You never know where they're going to go. A lot of them don't respect the fact that sailboats have the right of way.
I was going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're weekend, boat owners. and
Weekend
don't even
warriors,
know
yeah.
The normal flow of the traffic and
Exactly.
don't care, They're
No, they don't. They really don't care, and it's very dangerous. And you see how things like the Purdock incident, Miss Thornton, and everything, how that could happen so easily, especially on a holiday weekend.
Absolutely.
Everybody's partying.
But you're right, the lake was pleasant out
Yeah, it
there
didn't
today.
smell or
No
anything.
odor, didn't see any real mats, and the breeze was blowing nice, so, I'm sure the wind's coming out of the northwest. Excuse me.
Saturday it was bad. We actually had a little bit of the straw smell, and if the tourists hadn't been here, it would have probably gone into a full bloom. But
So you
the wind
think when
came
the
along
boats
and
are going through that's what breaks the mats up, and then it drops the smell?
Well, the kids actually helped. I saw them out there on their jet skis trying to spray each other with green,
Nice.
foam, and it was hilarious.
Obviously, they haven't read the latest health advisory, which says aerosols should not be inhaled.
We do need to get the word out a little.
Oh,
bit.
my goodness,
These
yeah.
people were absolutely fearless of it, and we're shooting each other with it.
Oh my
Gosh.
God!
Ugh.
Because they don't know what they're working with and how it is. So
It didn't get to that point where it was dying off though, because it got chewed up so quickly.
Gotcha.
Anyway, thank you for the show.
Well, thank you for
the
calling in.
report. Appreciate it.
All right.
All right,
Take care.
bye.
Bye.
Do we have anyone else here?
Hello, you're on the air.
Hi, Terry and Tax Guy
Hello.
in Dallas.
Yeah,
Dallas.
I'm here still.
Hi there.
Hi.
I'm calling about something else, but I'll try to segue since you were talking about the lake. I was swimming in one of the other lakes this weekend, one of our other beautiful lakes in the county, the Blue Lakes.
Oh,
isn't
that's
that
beautiful up
nice?
there.
Yeah,
I
that's a
love
whole
that.
other body of water. And,
Yes.
Thank goodness it's there. Yeah.
In fact, those who I was swimming with, we were talking about, wouldn't it be nice to maybe look into an ordinance to have the Blue Lakes be a little bit more special and not allow motorized vehicle.
I've thought about that too. I think it's a great idea.
The idea we came up with actually was kind of a good compromise, I thought, which was there was a little electric pontoon boat that came by on the shore where we were.
There you go.
And it was quiet, and it was just really sweet.
Yeah, and the two strokes, they put gas and oil in the water.
Oh,
It's just
hell, we
terrible.
don't want to, we
Yeah.
surely do not want to taint that Blue Lake. I mean, the Blue Lakes are just precious, precious resource.
They really are.
And anyway, so I thought I'd segue to that. But I was calling to comment on something that Pete said about picking up hitchhikers.
Yes.
And I wanted to, since this is Lake County Magazine, I wanted to kind of put a little perspective on some of the Lake County history, which is, 20 plus years ago when I moved here, there wasn't no bus system. We're talking about the strike right now, but there wasn't no bus system here. And you know how hard it is to get around this lake if you don't
Absolutely.
have a car, if you don't have, So I pick up hitchhikers.
Well, I pitch up
I
hitchhikers
do
when
pick up
Terry's with
hitchhikers.
me in the car.
I follow my hunch, though. It's always about
Right.
what does
Yes.
it feel like,
Instinct,
and I just
yeah.
follow my instinct. And people are trying to get somewhere.
Hey, I pick up women all the time. I will pick up a woman, especially if she's older. I would not hesitate. Even though I do sometimes feel a little nervous, I think it's important to keep the women safe, and we should do what we can to help each other.
I always choose to trust my fellow human being whenever I can. Whenever my instincts say yes, it's okay. I try to trust my fellow human being because I think that's what we need to move towards.
Oh, sure.
We're so terrorized. And the other thing is this gal that called in looking for her purse.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think it would be a bad thing for her to go ahead and put her phone number out if he's trying to find this guy. But
Well,
the
it's
other
up to
thing
her
is,
if she wants to make it public.
and who was the guy? Claude?
Claude.
Claude. Okay, so Claude out there, call 263-3435, and get in touch with you two. I mean, there's really nobody in the office that's going to retrieve these calls, Terry.
Well, actually, Andy's here, so.
I know, but we don't pay the station manager to help somebody find their purse,
Well, he's a good Samaritan.
Yeah, I'm sure
Kenny
he
Pool
has
is
no
on
problem
Saturday
with
mornings. People are putting their phone numbers out all the time. Let's face it, this is a small
If
community.
they would like to do that, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's not my call.
Yeah.
so.
Anyway, I just thought I'd put that opinion out there.
Thank
No
you.
worries. Thank
Appreciate
you.
your opinions.
Thanks for the show.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Now, just to respond to that quickly, I don't mind picking up hitchhikers as long as I have someone else in the car with me, especially females.
Yeah.
I just,
well,
I'm
I
sorry.
can understand your hesitance
Yeah.
to females because too many people yell rape when there really hasn't been
And
anything.
even though I'm an old guy and don't, I just don't feel comfortable picking up a female hitchhiker.
Yeah. Oh, I can understand that, definitely. So, what are the other quick topics we had for
Quick
this
topics.
segment?
Let me put my cheats on. The OS meeting was nothing much yesterday to worry about. That was kind of nothing really discussed there, was
I
there?
actually missed most of it.
Yeah, well, it wasn't
they
nothing.
had closed session on the Lakeside Heights.
Right, yeah.
43 homes
Right.
now.
But it ended at 11:30.
Our homeowners have actually put in a case against the county now.
Really? Against the county.
Yeah.
I would love to
They're
look at
holding
that
them
evidence.
responsible for this, and I have to agree because when you look at the fact that the inspections that weren't done, the condition of the homes when they were built, and the fact that there was water already seeping into basements at that point in time,
Right.
that's when this should have been addressed, and it wasn't.
Well, again, it's a matter. I think if for the homeowners to actually have any type of chance in a court of law, they're going to have to show some type of negligence by lack of proper permitting, lack of soil reports, whatever the proper terminology is. They're going to have to prove that the county did not do their job or their due diligence in approving each phase of the construction. They're not going to be able to go after the builder because he's history these days. So it could be a tough suit to
Well, they have to. There were so many contractors that saw how the inspectors handled.
well, if they get
the
eyewitnesses
inspections.
and they can get the reports out of the county if they don't disappear, stuff like that.
Well, that's it. So I think it's something that needs to be looked at,
Yeah.
definitely.
Well, and more power
close.
to them. I mean, it's a bad situation.
I would certainly join them if I was a homeowner there.
Yeah.
I would be so upset. Your whole life is just sliding down a hill.
Yep, it is. So,
That's a shame.
hey, I'd like to talk about quickly before we get into our two main subjects.
Yes.
The DOJ MJ article that we have posted, and they're saying on how they're now treating federal cases. You're the one that.
Oh, with the
yes.
with the marijuana
I think we should
thing.
briefly touch on that.
Well, let me see if I can pull up the actual news release about it, and that way I can speak with factual information.
Sorry, I didn't mean to shock you on that.
Yeah, you kind of threw me off.
I know. Well, yeah, it's my
Off,
job.
Okay, so the Department of Justice sent out a memorandum to all its U.S. attorneys entitled Guidance Regarding Marijuana Enforcement. And I want our county officials to pay attention to this
Well,
because
along with Coel.
there's
Yes.
something serious going on behind the scenes that we're also going to expose today regarding this and the local perspective. But basically it says, due to the recent recreational legalization of cannabis by Colorado and Washington state, the decriminalization of it in other states, and the legalization of medical cannabis in still other states, Deputy Attorney General James M. Cole has issued a memorandum to set the guidelines for prosecution of cannabis around the country. There have been a number of rumors flying around about the national legalization of the plant, about the DOJ not prosecuting less than 1,000 plant grows, about the prosecution of growers who are not commercial cultivators. The memorandum seeks to very clearly delineate who will be prosecuted in general, while not directly saying that the feds will not attempt to prosecute grows under 1,000 plants. They do say that they will take it on a case-by-case basis, but not focus their attention on non-commercial growers who are following state laws. It also puts more of an onus on state and local law enforcement jurisdictions. So this is the memorandum for all U.S. attorneys from James M. Cole, Deputy Attorney General. And in October 2009 and June 2011, the department issued guidance to federal prosecutors concerning marijuana enforcement under the Controlled Substances Act. This memorandum updates that guidance in light of state ballot initiatives that legalize under state law the possession of small amounts of marijuana and provide for the regulation of marijuana production, processing, and sale. The guidance set forth herein applies to all federal enforcement activity, including civil enforcement and criminal investigations and prosecutions concerning marijuana in all states. As the department noted in its previous guidance, Congress has determined that marijuana is a dangerous drug and that the legal distribution and sale of marijuana is a serious crime that provides a significant source of revenue to large-scale criminal enterprises, gangs, and cartels. The Department of Justice is committed to enforcement of the CSA consistent with those determinations. The department is also committed to using its limited investigative and prosecutorial resources to address the most significant threats in the most effective, consistent, and rational way. In furtherance of those objectives, as several states enacted laws relating to the use of marijuana for medical purposes, the department in recent years has focused its efforts on certain enforcement priorities that are particularly important to the federal government. And they provide a list. Preventing the distribution of marijuana to minors, preventing revenue from the sale of marijuana from going to criminal enterprises, gangs, and cartels, preventing the diversion of marijuana from states where it is legal under state law in some form to other states, preventing state-authorized marijuana activity from being used as a cover or pretext for the trafficking of other drugs or other illegal activity, preventing violence and the use of firearms in the cultivation and distribution of marijuana, preventing drugged driving and the exacerbation of other adverse public health consequences associated with marijuana use, preventing the growing of marijuana on public lands and the attendant public safety and environmental dangers posed by marijuana production on public lands, and preventing marijuana possession or use on federal property. These priorities will continue to guide the Department enforcement of the CSA against marijuana-related conduct. Thus, this memorandum serves as guidance to the department attorneys and law enforcement to focus their enforcement resources and efforts, including prosecution, on persons or organizations whose conduct interferes with any or more of these priorities, regardless of state law. So it goes on to talk about the traditional aspect of how they looked at marijuana, and that since the jurisdictions have enacted these laws legalizing it, and there's a conflict now between federal and state laws, they're going to try to, where possible, focus more on the state laws as non-prosecutorial, and then for large-scale grows or big things, they're going to take it on a case-by-case basis.
Right. Basically what they're trying to say, at least from a local point of view, is that if local and state law enforcement is going after the bad guys, meaning what they just said, what my wife just read, they're going to leave the other people alone. So if you got your 6 or 12 or 18 plants that you're legally allowed to have under our own county ordinances, they're not going to mess with you.
Well, we've been saying this for a while because we heard it from the Attorney General's office a couple of months ago, about 4 months ago, that they were going to back off. Now here it says the primary question in all cases, because it'll be judged on a case-by-case basis, whether they go after or grow or not. So the primary question in all cases and in all jurisdictions should be whether the conduct at issue implicates one or more of the enforcement priorities listed above. So a marijuana operation's large-scale or for-profit nature may be a relevant consideration for assessing the extent to which it becomes a particular federal enforcement priority. Right. So if you're not growing, to send it off to New York or some other place where it's not legal, then you're probably not going to be harassed if your grows are of a reasonable size. Right. Now, of course, we have our own issues here in the county with code enforcement and what their concept and belief is about what is appropriate amount of medicine for people to have, and that does differ greatly with a lot of times what doctors prescribe and what people actually need for their own consumption.
Well, one of the reasons I wanted to raise this point is that we've had some communications, and we know for a fact that sometime at the end of this year, October, November, December, obviously that's at the end of the year, that the county is going to be coming up with the new ordinance language.
Okay.
And
before you go into that, because I want to read that email that we received.
Go ahead.
Okay. I want to just say that this letter was sent to the Acting Assistant Attorney General, Criminal Division, the Chair, Attorney General's Advisory Committee, the Drug Enforcement Administration, Executive Office for United States Attorneys, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Criminal Investigation Division. So this is an official document from the feds that says, we're going to back off on small grows. We're not going to go prosecute people where it's already legal. and we want to be able to make that clear that any other prosecutions would be based on a case-by-case basis.
Right.
Okay. So go ahead and give people kind of an overview.
As I was saying, is that the new MJ ordinance, cannabis ordinance, is coming up for discussion and most likely approval towards the end of this year. And Mr. Rick Coel is the one who's leading the effort, along with a committee, I understand, on putting in the new ordinance. And I think they need to take into consideration the federal agency stance now from the Attorney General's office on how they're going to be treating this, to make sure that the ordinance that they do come up with is reasonable and fair to all parties on both sides, and that if they're not going to be going after certain size grows, and they're not going to be, these grows are going to comply with the steps that they just outlined here, meaning not selling to minors, not interstate commerce activity and all that good stuff. I think they need to take that in consideration to make it more reasonable and more fair, especially on the larger lots like the 40-acre, the 100-acre lots, where right now you're maximum 48 plants, I think it is.
Well, yeah, I believe the most you can have on any size parcel of the larger parcels is 48.
Yeah.
So, but there was an issue, not this last supervisor meeting, but the one before that, where people had 1.00 acres.
Yes.
And
that's right.
they were forced to take down their plants, and there is no rule as to whether it's more than an acre or less than an acre. The 1.00 acres, there was no definition as to whether that was going to be allowed a certain amount of plants or not.
Right.
And they determined after the fact that these people had more plants than they should have. And they were actually seriously trying to comply. So I think it's kind of sad that this is how we're treating our people that need medicine.
Right. And the other case, excuse me, was that they weren't within the necessary distance from a fence line or from their neighbor. Mm-hmm. And they said, okay, what we're going to do then, instead of having, I can't remember the numbers exactly, instead of having 12 plants, we're going to bring it down to 6 plants, because the ordinance stipulates that for 6 plants, we can be closer to our neighbor than with 12 plants. Mm-hmm. And they said, no, because your size of your parcel allows you to have 12 plants, so therefore the same standards have to apply no matter if you have 6 plants or 12 plants. And I think the point here, folks, is that this is typical government, typical law enforcement, where it's black and white, there's no gray area, and they're forgetting what the intent of the law, or in this case the ordinance, is, and they're not applying the law in a practical manner. It's, well, you have an acre, so you're allowed 12 plants.
I think it's very personalized. First of all,
absolutely.
Well, I've got the email that I'm going to read here, and it's going to be very clear when you hear this email that this is a setup that people are doing, filing complaints anonymously on their neighbors, and that they are actually being asked by these people that are trying to control this ordinance to spy on their neighbors and report them to the county. Okay, this to me is disgraceful. So here's the email. I'm not going to tell you who it's from. We know who it's from, but we're not going to disclose that. We are just going to read the email. And it says, county staff is now preparing Lake County's final marijuana ordinance for presentation to the Board of Supervisors in November. Staff will present those provisions it believes the board is likely to approve. The board will approve those provisions it believes acceptable to most, in parentheses, red vocal residents. So basically they're just saying if you're making a lot of noise, the Board of Supervisors is going to listen to you. If you believe that Lake County's marijuana problem is worsening, or if you are personally affected by nearby marijuana grows, pit bulls, threats, etc., do this. Use the link in the bottom of the page to file complaints on a non-compliant sites anywhere in the county. It can be completely anonymous. The more complaints code enforcement has to present to the board, the more restrictive the ordinance will likely be. Write or call your county supervisor and tell him/her that you want grows completely out of residential areas and far, far away from churches, schools, and playgrounds. Again, the more complaints to supervisors, the more restrictive the ordinance will likely be. How dare they? Send this email to friends, neighbors, and relatives who are also plagued
Plagued, yes.
by marijuana grows. Oh my goodness.
And then can we outlaw cigarette smoke?
Can I outlaw wine drinking?
And perfumes?
Because they kill people on the highways every single day just about around here. Can I outlaw perfume because it makes me want to throw up when I'm sitting next to a person wearing too much?
Aren't they now, if they, not saying they're going to pass this like that, but if they do, aren't they now putting themselves into a liable situation?
Of course, because they're denying access.
Right.
So it goes on to say, if you're not bothered by marijuana grows, consider this. While it may change hands dozens of times and count as income to dozens of businesses and employees, you will eventually see $1 spent by a family vacationing in Lake County, but only if vacationing families feel safe enough to come here, and that is the long-term harm marijuana grows cause our county. Oh my God. These people are unbelievable. And then it ends, you are not alone. Okay, and then it has the link to file an anonymous complaint and how to reach your county supervisor, and then it has the interim marijuana ordinance quick guide to check compliance, which says 48 plants on 40 acres or more, 36 on 5 to 40, 18 on 1 to less than 5. Okay, so it says right here, 1 acre, you can have 18 plants. Now, these people were denied that, and it says there that half up to less than 1 acre is 12 plants. So they need to make it clear what exactly the rules are before they start busting people for breaking the rules. I'm sorry, this is really out of control. So what they're doing is they're starting a phone and letter campaign to the supervisors and to code enforcement. And the idea is you're going to spy on your neighbors, and if they're growing their own medicine and you don't like them, or you don't like the fact that they're growing, or you don't like the people that come visit them, you can call and report them anonymously to the county and to your supervisors.
Well, can't we do the opposite? Can't we have people who are like our current ordinance or like to have it expanded a bit? Can't they also call the supervisors,
Well,
email
of course,
the supervisors?
and this is why we're letting people know what's going on, so they can also get up and make their phone calls and write their letters about their rights to have medicine that the state of California versus Kelly determined that a person has the right to have as much medicine necessary to heal their particular illness or to help their illness. There are no restrictions, okay? So they try to make this ordinance more restrictive than what it is. There's going to be serious legal ramifications as far as people suing the county. And I don't know if the county can actually afford this, especially if we got a ridiculous recall of the sheriff coming out that may cost us $100,000, and he's coming for election in June, so why not just wait until June? That's another absurdity, a waste of funds. And now they're going to talk about wasting more funds by going after these people and then getting sued for denying them the right to access. They've already closed down every dispensary in the county except Clear Lake. And Clear Lake's new ordinances are going to be able to cut those back. And plus, I don't know about you, but this is a very poor county, and a lot of people, 37% of the population of Clear Lake, can't even afford to shop in a dispensary. So if they can't grow their own, where's their medicine coming from?
And what is our unemployment rate?
Oh, 20%?
And how many new businesses have we had opened up in the last couple of years? And how many new jobs have been created in this county besides county jobs? And who's
the largest employer in the county?
The county.
The county. And the medical field.
Medical field's number 2 combined.
Yeah.
After that, it's just, as we talked about a couple weeks ago.
Just unbelievable. And now they want to restrict people even more. It's very sad, and to hear people like this that make people who need medicine sound like they are the worst people on the planet. Don't worry about the meth labs, folks.
What meth labs?
Don't worry about the drunk drivers on the highway. Just worry about the poor people that are smoking their pot to help themselves feel better. That's the ones you want to go after.
Why not?
We posted something on our Facebook page. It's an article that's by the Huffington Post.
Yes.
And the headline is, "Here's all the people who have died from smoking marijuana." And you go to this article and it has a video of some pandas playing. It's like, there is no people that have died from smoking marijuana.
Well, not directly anyway.
No, marijuana's never killed anybody. Hello, you're on the air.
Well, maybe if they had too much chocolate cake.
Oh.
Well, I tell you, those brownies can get you.
That's too bad. The people are moving to find a place to live over here. They'll have to move to the counties with more overcast and cloud and less productive because of the fallen continents over the counties, like having clouds all the time.
Boy, I tell you, talk about chemtrails.
Well, we interviewed the new manager of economic development. Very nice gentleman, good background and experience in business, and our interview's on our Facebook page if anyone's interested in reading it. I wrote it. I think it's actually very informative on what the insight of our government is on what their priority is in increasing the economy here in the job market. And one of the things, I don't want to take a lot of time on this, but there isn't a set plan of attack to create jobs and bring businesses in here besides just a basic marketing approach. And we have such a tremendous opportunity in the cannabis and industry to generate jobs here without being a nuisance to people who don't like marijuana or people who don't agree with it. You can still do it in a proper business manner, I think, and I just think we're missing an opportunity.
Well, this is the problem. There are counties that have embraced it and turned it into a benefit by taxing and regulating it in a sensible manner. And this is the direction that we should be heading, not in the opposite direction of denying people's right to access. And shame on all of you who think that these people who grow their own are all a bunch of cartel criminals. I just am so insulted by that. I just feel so betrayed by humanity to think that because we grow pot, we're some kind of evildoers.
Yeah, and to set the record straight, we don't agree with the growers in the national forests. We don't agree with the cartels with the AK-47s. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the normal person with a recommendation who needs the script in order to...
This email talks about eliminating pot.
Right.
So that's that's just absurd, and that's their goal.
The profits going to crime. It's to the government crime when they take everything. That's the crime.
Code enforcement, and they seize property and everything else.
Yeah.
So I think they need an exorcist if they're going to get Rob Brown out of office, and then also, there's Labor Day. It used to be about the labor going on and, commemorating all the labor it takes to make capital, but now it's just recognizing the whole country's in labor pains about such stress.
Boy, isn't that the truth? Yeah, and their labor and their union busting right here in our own county.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It is. Well, thanks for the call.
Good day.
Okay. Hello, you're on the air.
Oh, hey, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. I think that in the near future you're going to see billboards when you enter Lake County. It will say something like, "Welcome to Lake County. If it's not about the wine, it's prison time."
Oh, nice. I like that.
Ooh, I like that one. That really is a slogan, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah,
All right.
It's very sad, but thanks for the thought.
All right.
Okay, bye.
Unfortunately, going back to the interview we had with the manager of economic development, it almost coincides with the last caller's statement. It is about the wine and the vineyards and the industry here and the support businesses that it creates. And we have so much more here besides the wine industry.
Absolutely.
And I think, I just don't understand.
Now, don't get me wrong. I love the wine industry for what it provides. Lake County has some of the finest wines in the world. We know this. We know the economy is better because of it. But how much of that money that these wineries are making is actually staying in Lake County? How much of it goes back out to Napa and to other places, Sonoma and other places where these guys have bases?
The question is, where are their corporate offices?
Yeah.
Where do they actually domicile?
Yeah,
it's not. I don't believe it's in Lake County per se,
No.
except for the one or two small vineyards. But even the ones we went to during the wine tour, they were small family ones. They're not based here.
No.
They're outside the county.
Yeah, exactly. So, where's our money really going that's being made here in Lake County off the wine industry?
And
That's to me, a very good question.
The other question is, how much labor they really employ. I mean, on the record. Not saying they're off the record, but, there's a lot of migrant workers.
Yep.
I know that a lot of them are probably paid cash.
But again, they're transient. They're not local
That's
workers.
my point.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and then plus the amount of phosphorus that's going into the lake as runoff from those places, in addition to the natural phosphorus we have, is causing a huge problem in the lake.
Yeah. Well, again, let's not digress too much here, but the point is that we are missing the boat on the cannabis industry, I believe, and we have a job creation capability out of that industry, and it just appears that our local government here. And some
tunnel vision.
Yeah, and the citizens here are so anti-marijuana that they're actually hurting themselves by taking that stance. And again, everything has to be done in moderation to make sure that all sides are reasonably happy with the results of the ordinance. But come on, folks, we need to get real to a certain extent.
Yep.
So.
Exactly.
Anyway, I guess that was our rant a little, but I didn't mean to get on that subject all this time. But
well, it just frightens me when citizens can go and issue an email like this, and they've also posted similar comments on the blog and other places, where they say directly, spy on your neighbor.
Yep. Well, that's the Homeland Security's motto right now.
What happened to America? I don't know where I missed America. It just went away. It just disappeared on me. Unbelievable.
Yeah. So, now I have a question.
Yes, dear.
Thank you. Can we, and I say we folks, I'm talking about all you listening out there too, and you can tell all your family and friends and enemies and everyone else, is why can't we call Mr. Rick Coel's office and say, hey, can we get a copy of your ordinance to be? Can we see where you're at on this? Do we have any public comment that we can give you now? You are an employee.
I think that would be good.
You are an employee of the county. You do work for us. You don't work for yourself. You don't work for the board.
I know that Emerald Unity Coalition has some representatives that have been negotiating with them. So I know that there is some representation from the growers going on, I believe. I haven't had it officially confirmed, but
I still think it would be nice.
I know they've talked to them.
I still think it would be nice if the public, if they care, and if they really want to see an ordinance that's favorable for all parties, to call Mr. Coel's office and say, hey, where are you at on this? Where are you leaning? What's going on? Can you at least answer to the public that pays your bills and your salaries? Let's get some response out there.
Right. Well, that's it. And we need to fight back. I mean, those of you that grow for your own medicine need to fight back.
And I'm not talking about the big old guys who, are growing their 1,000-odd plants. I'm talking about the folks at home that need to grow their own.
These people that were in this meeting week before last are a perfect example, because they seemed like they were just normal people that were trying to just get their medicine together. Now, let me tell you, folks, here's a brain buster for you. Doctors nowadays are not recommending that people smoke their medicine, okay? They're recommending that it be juiced.
Yes.
That takes so much more product to juice something to get the proper amounts of cannabinoids. So with that in mind, the limits that have been set by the county, who, by the way, have no medical training whatsoever and no right to tell a patient how much medicine that they could take, are absolutely inadequate for anybody who has to use the live, fresh plant for juicing. That's just how it is. So, the fact that they sit there and think that they can, and these anti-marijuana people think that they can tell patients how much medicine they need, well, it's already been proven in court you can't do that. Right. So try it.
I'm surprised Lakeport hasn't been sued yet.
Well, that's what Ron Green brought up in Clear Lake, that the reason that he believes they haven't been sued is that the people are afraid, because they don't want to expose the fact that they grow.
But if they're within county ordinances and state laws, what are they afraid of? Retaliation?
Their neighbors.
Oh, it can be a break.
I think that's the motivation behind it. I think there's a lot of fear out there, just like people are afraid of Rob Brown.
Who? Sorry.
A lot of people won't sign the petition because they think they're going to see their names on it. He's going to see them, which they won't, by the way. That is completely confidential.
Yep. So, alrighty. Want to take a station break, ID?
Yes,
and then we can move on to our real subjects for the day?
Except we got a call.
Always the case.
Hello, you're on the air.
Sir?
Hello?
Oh.
Hello, you're breaking up.
Am I in there?
Can you say something more? Talk to me? No, your phone is breaking up. Give us a few minutes. We're going to take a quick break. Give us a call right after the top of the hour back. Thank you.
No problem.
All right. Okay, so we're going to take a quick break here now. Let me see which one I have set up proper. I have that one set up proper, so I'm going to go there.
Are we functioning on all cylinders?
Not really.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah.
I like that.
I think that's John Trudell, which, again, I have to apologize because we forgot to pull the disc out of the camera that's actually filming us right now, and that has the interview on it.
Promise you next week.
So we do promise next week. And we'll be right back. This is Lake County Magazine with Terry and Pete, and we'll be back in a few minutes. Just KPFZ 88.1 FM in Lake County and all around the lake.
Shuffles away.
And shuffles away.
His luck just gets
His
better.
luck just gets
Each day.
better each day.
Somewhere between darkness and light. A shadow where nothing knows right. Someplace at the cross and a dream. Someone is dirty, the image unclean. In the act of one way or another, junkie needle ravages the mother. Rationalized minds craving the high. Progressive race is choking the sky. Crooked eyes, seeing only crooked fears. Water's song plays to deaf ears. Yesterday's child betrays tomorrow's child, chasing a fix that only lasts for a while. Awaits the next move. Lightning dancer is laying the groove. Cool thunder comes riding the flash, becoming a storm that predator can't pass. In the grasp of the fiery feather, there is a thread that pulls it together. In the chasm between motive and intent, there is a thread that pulls it together. Somewhere between darkness and light, a shadow where nothing knows right. Someplace at the cross and a dream, someone is dirty, the image unclean. Material junkies hold out hands, praying hard for a better deal. Cardholder smiles and shuffles away. His luck gets better and better each day.
KPFZ is grateful for the underwriting support of Digital Path, a local company providing Lake and surrounding counties with high-speed business and residential internet service. Digital Path specializes in serving rural, hard-to-reach locations with up to 10 megabits and unlimited data plans. For more information, call them at 1-800-676-7284 or visit their website at digitalpath.net.
just a typical American boy from a typical American town. I believe in God and Senator Dodd, and I keep an old Castro down. And when it came my time to serve, I knew better dead than red. But when I got to my old draft board, buddy, this is what I said. Sarge, I'm only 18, I got a ruptured spleen, and I always carry a purse. I've got eyes like a bat and my feet are flat, and my asthma's getting worse. Yes, think of my career, my sweetheart dear, my poor old invalid aunt. Besides, I ain't no fool, I'm a-going to school, and I'm a-working in a defense plant. I got a dislocated disc and a racked up back. I'm allergic to flowers and bugs. And when the bombshell hits, I get epileptic fits, and I'm addicted to 1,000 drugs. I got the weakness woes, I can't touch my toes, I can hardly reach my knees. And if the enemy came close to me, oh, I'd probably start to sneeze. I'm only 18, got a ruptured spleen, and I always carry a purse. I've got eyes like a bat, my feet are flat, my asthma's getting worse. Yes, think of my career, my sweetheart dear, my poor old invalid aunt. Besides, I ain't no fool, I'm a-going to school, and I'm a-working in a defense plant. Ooh, I hate showing lie, and I hope he dies. But one thing you gotta see, that someone's gotta go over there, and that someone isn't me. So I wish you well, Sarge, give him hell. Kill me 1,000 or so. And if you ever get a war without blood and gore, I'll be the first to go. Yes, I'm only 18, I got a ruptured spleen, and I always carry a purse. I've got eyes like a bat, and my feet are flat, and my asthma's getting worse. Yes, think of my career, my sweetheart dear, my poor old invalid aunt. Besides, I ain't no fool, I'm a-going to school, and I'm working in a defense plant.
Yes, that's the way to get out of going to war. if you get drafted, but we don't have the draft anymore. But
Thank God.
that was called the Draft Dodger Rag. That's by Phil Oakes, and before that we had Madness and Me from John Trudell, and then we did also play another Phil Oakes song in the opening segment, which was another anti-war song called I Ain't Marching Anymore. You know, it's just tiring. Syria is not going to be our war. They just got to stop doing this. Our people have to revolt against this thing. It's really not good. I'm not a happy camper. Okay, we got permission from the young lady that lost her purse to announce again that she was riding in Claude's pickup.
Call in, Claude.
And left her purse there. Her number is 533-0774. And if you would like to, if you have her purse, Claude, please give her a call.
One more time on that phone number.
533-0774.
Thank you.
That's Robin, and she left her purse in Claude's truck yesterday. And don't you just love small towns? Hello.
What have you done to me?
Hey, Terry and Pete. This is Bonnie and Lucer.
Hey,
Bonnie,
morning.
how are you?
Oh, I'm doing excellent. You?
I
just wanted to let you know, to kind of follow up on the last segment, that the Americans for Safe Access will be meeting 2 weeks from today. That's the 18th of September at the Moose Lodge in Clear Lake Oaks. They're at the Y at 53 and Highway 20.
Great.
And that's at I believe we get together about 6 p.m.
Okay, that's good, because they need to be on top of this.
Exactly. That will definitely be a topic of discussion.
Cool.
Well, it should be the start of a movement. I just think it's absolutely disgraceful that these people want to advocate spying on their neighbors and reporting them for having their own medicine to take care of their illnesses. It's just,
It's unbelievable. You got Sanjay Gupta, turn around and make a total reversal on his.
Hello?
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 What can you possibly do with the evidence is in, folks? Come on, get a life. Get yourself something to really work on, like the roads.
Hello?
That's another subject.
Jobs would be nice, too.
One thing I've noticed being on the buses, or trying to be on the buses, which has been impossible with this lockout, strike, whatever that is. I was on the buses yesterday, and the bus drivers were so they were wrecked. They were half an hour behind. They didn't know what they're doing.
Well, they have performance clauses in their contract too.
Oh, really?
Every time if they're late or on a pickup or late on their overall route, there's a fine that they have that Paratransit has allegedly paid to Lake Transit Authority.
Oh, is that anything more than the $200 a month?
Yes, it's a totally is a totally different fine situation for number of routes covered along with the timeliness of those routes. I don't have the contract in front of me, but I can pull it up and just talk about it next week if you like.
Yeah, it's just totally ridiculous.
Yes.
The bus service is I don't know I don't know who was the alternatives, but I really think that we got a bad rap.
Yeah, it's not a good situation, and we're going to cover that here in a few minutes about the update on the strike and what negotiations stand at this point.
And we have a bunch of reliable drivers that want to come back to work. Paratransit, listen, Lake Transit Authority, listen. Let's get the drivers back on. Let's get the routes back to order.
Totally agree with
we
you.
have people that need to get around in this county. And I've had to use my thumb quite a bit. I had to get to.
Bonnie, let me ask you a question quickly. Then we have to move on. You ride the buses on a regular basis? I do not. According to Paratransit, as of this week or as of today, I believe, they stated that routes will be restored 100% back to normal. Do you feel that all the routes are back to where they were prior to the strike?
No.
And anyone else? Okay, and anyone else listening out there?
They said that yesterday, and they were running the routes, but they were running a half an hour behind.
Yeah, but are all the routes being covered right now?
I think that the Clear Lake routes are fairly well covered. The Lakeport route, which is the number one extension, that is running, but like I say, that one is running far behind.
Right.
So it's
okay.
And like I said, the drivers I do see are either incompetent or they're not on the job long enough or have sufficient training to really be there.
Right. Okay.
But there are union drivers that they want to come back to work.
Yep. They definitely want to come back to work.
So anyway,
all right.
There's Port Dante, port number 39.
Okay. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Okay.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, man, it just seems like there could be so many better things for these people to focus on to help our county progress rather than regress.
You would think, wouldn't you?
Think, yeah. It's a very sad situation.
Well, this whole strike thing really is a mess. I had the opportunity, the Union 665 and the Paratransit did meet last week. I think it was last Tuesday. And it wasn't really a very good negotiation at all. The federal mediator is now involved. And the federal mediator basically said, okay, both of you go to your own corners. And I'm not exaggerating. Union, you go to this room. Paratransit, you go sit in that room, and you cannot talk to each other directly. You're going to have to talk through me. So the first communication from Paratransit was, and I have this in writing, these are actual handwritten notes signed by the heads of the individual organizations, so I'm not ad-libbing here whatsoever. This is hard copy. The Paratransit went out and said, hey, dude, now I'm ad-libbing, folks. Hey, dude, what's it going to take to settle this strike? Come on, let's get it over with. And Mr. Miranda, Ralph Miranda of the local Union 665, basically responded, let us come back to work, enter into binding arbitration, and whatever happens, happens. Let the binding arbitration figure this out. Let us all go back and serve the community. And the response basically was, what is binding arbitration going to do for everybody? So the union wrote back and said, number one, pursuant to the current CBA, which is the collective bargaining agreement, parties can either present their current written final offer to an arbitration with arguments presented by the bargaining parties absent legal counsel. In non-legalese that says, hey, we're going to present our final offers. We're all both going to do that. We're going to present our arguments of why we think we're right, and we're going to do this without any legal people involved, i.e., no attorneys are involved. The heck with the legal language of the document. Let's just sit down and talk about this and say, let an arbitrator decide who has the best argument to implement the negotiation and get it finalized. The other option was do the exact same thing, but with legal counsel involved. The unions, Paratransit said, I don't think so. That's not going to work. We're just going to lock you out, and what we're going to do now is, as jobs come open, we'll hire back the union guys based on what we feel is right. And the union came back and said, excuse me, under federal law, and don't ask me what the law is because I don't know, that we had a binding contract. It expired. However, you are required to follow that contract when it comes to seniority basis and reinstating employees. So what's happening now is all of the union drivers are on a waiting list, ready to be recalled, and according to the union, it's going to be based on seniority. According to Paratransit, they're saying, well, when we go out and bid new jobs and we have new routes opening up, we'll definitely hire you all back, but the new drivers that have been hired since the strike, they get to keep their routes and their jobs. And the union is saying, no, hang on, guys, hang on one second. The contract stipulates that when routes are up for bid, and I'm sure most of you understand what that means, it's based... Okay, well,
it may not.
Routes, part of the contract is you're allowed to bid for your route, just like you're allowed to bid for a shift if you're in a hospital or if you're a mechanic at the airport. So based on seniority, the driver with the most seniority has first right to whatever route he or she wants to drive that particular period of time. Next one in seniority gets the second route, et cetera, et cetera. So the union's saying is when the routes go up for bid, all employees, and believe it or not, those who want to go back to work and not being allowed to work are still considered employees by Paratransit. They just don't have a job available right now, but they're still employees. Therefore, when the route goes up for bid, the union's saying the new drivers have the least amount of seniority, so they get to select their route last. And the union further states that if we go back to full service, cause it through attrition and everything else that has occurred recently, there's going to be enough jobs for the old drivers and the new drivers, but the old drivers have right of first refusal on any route they want. And the union and the Paratransit saying, we don't agree with that. So
are they making this as the union making this as one of their demands?
No, it's part of the contract. It's not a demand.
So it's a contractual obligation by Paratransit to agree to that.
Yes.
Interesting.
And that's why the federal mediator has to get involved here. And they have a meeting next week again. I don't know why it's every 2 weeks. You think they get paid enough money they could meet more often than that, on all sides, not just the Paratransit. But my point here, folks, is that we're in a stalemate here. And the union doesn't have a lot of bargaining position at this point in time. They've canceled the strike, but they're not allowed to go back to work. Paratransit has already hired drivers, and I guess they're getting their routes back to almost 100% restoration at this point, even though the routes are behind. And Paratransit won't negotiate with binding arbitration. And right now, they're not willing to negotiate because they said, no, we don't want that. And the union says, well, we're not going to negotiate without it, so we got a stalemate going on. So, folks, those of you who ride the buses and rely on that transportation service, I would advise you to call both the union and Paratransit and voice your concerns over the stalemate and find out exactly what can be done about it.
I think that the people need to start making a lot more noise in a lot more places. We're being used, abused, and disrespected by all sides and all parties.
Absolutely. And I think here's the other point, which I don't want to get into because we could be here for the next 6 hours, is that the board of directors overseeing Lake Transit Authority, which issues the contract to Paratransit to provide the services to the public, basically was, and I'll just use the word naive, uninformed about some of the penalties and some of the language of the contract.
Do you think they read the wrong contract?
Anything's possible in Lake County. And there's some good people on the board of directors and some not so good people on the board of directors of Lake Transit Authority. And folks, if you're confused, I get confused too. Lake Transit Authority has the contract with the county. They hire paratransit out of Washington State to do the day-to-day operations of the contract, and they do provide the services to the public here. But Lake Transit Authority owns all of the equipment. It's their stuff.
So why can't they just get rid of paratransit and become an employee-owned company?
They could do that, or just hire another company in lieu of paratransit, because we have a performance clause, and even though it's a lousy $200 fine a month for lack of service, they do have other penalties for lack of timeliness on the routes and other penalties involved here.
And isn't the county paying them for routes that they aren't even driving?
Possibly. We don't know that for a fact, but possibly. My point here is, folks, is that we have a board of directors that governs Lake Transit Authority, and I think they need to step up just a little bit more. I'm not going to be critical of them because I don't know the whole situation.
The board of directors is made up of 2 supervisors, 2 city council members from each Lakeport and Clear Lake, and 2 citizens.
Thank you. Yes. Glad you knew that.
Yes, well, I am paying attention.
That's right. So we do have representation. We do have representation of all parts of our political setup or government setup in this county. County reps, city reps of both cities, plus 2 citizens. They need to take more action within their responsibility and put more pressure on the president of Lake Transit Authority, and to put more pressure on paratransit to negotiate in good faith. Because, I'm not on either side. The union, I like the union guys. They're friendly. They're very communicative with us. They provide us updates. Paratransit, all they do is give us news releases. And one of them told me I was a bad boy.
They did.
They didn't trust me because I reported both sides of the story.
Oh, God forbid.
Oh, my God. Is this uncommon?
Didn't they send you an email like at midnight?
Yes.
Some kind of cryptic email that said something like, I thought we could trust you?
Yes. What happened was they did a press release, and I contacted the union, Mr. Miranda, and asked him what was his response. And he said, I'll get back to you. And he literally did get back to me within 30 minutes after reviewing the press release because he hadn't seen it yet. And then I notified the representative of paratransit that said, hey, we would love to have you on the radio show. We'd love to have a more in-depth interview with you, blah, blah, blah. And she wrote back, God bless your community in Lake County, period. I thought we could trust you, period. I have no clue what that meant, folks, but the point is... But
remember that prior to that, they hadn't given us any interviews.
No, not at all.
Given us any other information other than their standard news release that everybody else got. Mm-hmm. So what did you do to defy her and deny her trust?
Didn't ask her out.
You better not.
Anyway, I don't want to ramble, guys, but, the point is here is the strike is not going to end because paratransit doesn't want it to end, even though they're not officially on strike anymore. And the services are not up to par, obviously, based on our last caller, Bonnie, who said the routes are being late all the time. I'm still not convinced 100% of routes are being fulfilled at this point. And I just think somebody needs to stand up and take direction and do something about it. And I think the lead here has to be the board of directors if LTA itself is not willing to do something. So we're at a standoff. And guess who's suffering, folks? The county.
The riders. Yep. And the people that are out of jobs right now that, could be working.
Yeah.
So it's just not a good thing. And what it does is it sends a message that your union is worthless. Because your union has no power.
Exactly.
And that's where it really scares me, because the unions... Now, mind you, I'm not a big union supporter in the sense of... I think that in a lot of cases, specific unions have caused a lot of problems as far as raising prices and costs and that kind of thing. But what I appreciate from a union is it protects the worker because of predatorial management and corporate structure. So it's a necessary function of our environment. And coming from a no-union state like Arizona, you see a lot of people being abused
Yes.
and working for minimum wage and not getting paid properly and no medical benefits. So I appreciate the unions for what they bring to the table for the worker. And sometimes they go overboard. You know,
Yep.
I'm not going to say I support them 100%, but I'm going to say I support them when they are within reason. And it seems like this particular group is within reason. We're talking 30-something employees. It's not a huge amount of people. They're not asking for a huge increase in their salaries or anything. They're just asking to be treated as normal employees would be treated, as far as I could tell.
Well, I think it's not even the issue of what is the union demands. It's the lack of good faith negotiations from paratransit.
And yet they turn around and say they're not union busting.
Right.
But to me, it
They
looks
are.
like union
No,
busting.
and I'm not a big union fan per se, but they are. They're union busting. They don't want the union involved. They want to dictate the terms to all the employees, and that's it.
And it looks like they got a bad and a raw deal with their contract too.
Yeah.
I don't know who is in charge of negotiating that, but I'm sure be going back to them right now and saying,
Well, I just, we all know how strong some unions can be, and I just don't understand how they got themselves in a position where they just don't have a lot of, what I'm trying to say here, help me out. They just don't have,
they don't have any power.
Yeah, they're not negotiating from a position of strength, unfortunately.
No, because they just basically have been replaced.
Yeah.
So it's a really sad situation. Yep. So now we have inexperienced drivers putting the public at risk, by the way. There have been several accidents involving Lake County Transit buses.
Yes, there have.
And so there's also some kids that are being dropped off on 29 across the street from the school in Middletown. They have to be escorted across that busy highway.
By teachers.
The things that are happening behind the scenes that people aren't aware of, to me is just not worth what they're putting everybody through.
Well, and I realize, I keep on saying there's three sides to every story, but in this case, from a logical, practical point of view, we have drivers who want to go back to work. They've been around the block, no pun intended, a few years where they're experienced, they're knowledgeable, they know their ridership, they actually know a lot of these people one-on-one, and the public loves that interaction with them.
Yeah, we had a young man that gave a letter to the editor saying basically that his drivers are like his family. He's somewhat disabled, and they've taken care of him his entire life, helping him get around the lake. And the fact that he's now dealing with strangers makes him very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
A lot of his time is spent on the buses.
And to be fair to the new drivers, you can't expect them to know everything 100% because they've been literally thrown into this position. They haven't had this is my opinion, I don't know for a fact, I don't think they've been rushed through their training. I don't think they've been given the proper training period that one would normally be given. I don't think they have all of the approvals of their licenses, even though they're still legal for what they're doing. And it's a learning curve. It's not you can't expect miracles out of new drivers right off the bat.
Well, exactly. And the fact that the paratransit is saying, we're going to have our routes back up and running 100% within a certain amount of time is fantasy.
Yeah.
I don't see how they could do that with the amount of training these guys have to get.
Well, what the Mr. Miranda told me, and this is on the record, that it takes, and I'm ad-libbing because I don't have my notes in front of me, they said that takes, to 100% of the routes takes around 37, 39 drivers. And right now, based on what they have observed and seen, paratransit only has approximately 19 drivers right now. So logic stipulates you can't be at 100% of the routes if you have just over half of the drivers employed.
Exactly.
Just so that, and hopefully those numbers may have changed by now, but that's what it was a week ago.
Just really, really disappointing.
So, anyway.
There's a lot of disappointing things here in this county. Well, here's a news flash for you.
Okay.
This just in.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
Okay. September 10th, beginning at 8:30 a.m. at the Board of Supervisors chambers in the courthouse. The Board of Supervisors of the County of Lake will be having a special meeting for the purpose of conducting a public hearing on the 2013-2014 recommended budget for the County of Lake and special districts governed by the Board of Supervisors.
Really?
Yes.
And when do we get a copy of that?
That's what I'd like to know.
Well,
so we'll get a copy.
We'll get a
I'll
copy
make sure we get that. I'm
immediately.
going to send her an email
Thank
right
you.
now. But that is breaking news, folks. We definitely have got...
What date is that?
That is going to be on September 10th. They don't give you a lot of notice.
They don't even give you any notice.
Yeah. Public hearing, September 10th to discuss the budget.
Today's the 3rd, so it's a week from today.
So it's the 4th, actually. It's less than a week's notice.
Oh, it's next Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Which is before, what time?
8:30.
So it's before the supervisors meeting?
I guess.
Or is it, or
it's
is
going to
it
be
the
a part of
supervisors
the
meeting?
supervisors meeting, I would think, yeah.
Interesting.
Well, let's see. Is that right, though? Today's the 4th.
Yeah.
And today's Wednesday. Yeah, so...
Interesting.
Oh, my internet.
So they're going to give it a whole half hour of time and then go into the supervisors meeting?
No, they'll probably circumvent the meeting.
Interesting. All right.
That will probably
Well,
be the meeting.
Gee, that's great. 1 week's notice to analyze the county budget. Nice.
That's pretty short notice.
Yes, it is.
I'm a little surprised.
I'm sure
at
it
that.
meets. I'm sure it meets the letter of the law, but that's really not a hell of a lot of notice. Anyway.
Hello, you're on there.
Hi, it's me, Mahi Rabi again. How are y'all?
Good. How are you?
Okay, I'm reminiscing about things like traveling and visiting Europe and other societies, and
Where they do things right.
yeah, and studying about the word subjection is a good thing. It used to be, oh, happy subjects, and a queen or king would make sure no harm would come to them, and it implied a good thing to be in subjection because there was a queen or king.
Yep.
But now when it's all about profit and profiteering, and they let you go to the professional sectors like to the wolves, who even needs them? The government, because it's just like letting you be to them. Whereas over in Europe, everybody has public transportation. They're paying everybody $500 for all their use every year. They quit spraying all the pesticides and no GMOs instead of just charging double for it here. So it seems like, where did that $500,000? I heard they got the bus. They got a big grant, and then they could care less even more about everybody.
Yeah.
And then they had that $200 a month. They talked about it on her being on the law show, his replacement, about somebody called in and said it was $200 a day.
No, it's $200 a month. I have the contract.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, those things are all breaches of the fiduciary duty from the bottom all the way through the union.
Thank
into
you.
the sport.
Exactly. Absolutely correct.
And when you enter into agreement without any boards or any things in the middle, whoever has power given to them the owners, they have an increased responsibility to why that person got into the contract. So they're all trampling on it, all this great 10 million acres of grapes and pollution, and they should have the radar looking where the money went. Being that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of questions that need to be asked about the money and the flow of money going through there.
And one of the problems is I found their tax returns, excuse me, I found Paratransit's tax returns online through a nonprofit organization. And the problem is they have 17 other odd contracts, and all the contracts are filed under the one tax return. So it's very difficult to determine what's really the financial impact here on Lake County in regards to the profit and loss or the cash flow of Paratransit. Even though they deny they're not having financial difficulties in the sense of Lake County operation, their overall financial statement doesn't show a very significant cash flow. So it'd be really nice if we could have a breakout of the actual revenues and expenses of Lake County portion only. And that would help with the union and the negotiations, I think. And to the public.
They broke their charter, and they've done something to reproach their... One of them things could be used against them in a way, maybe, if they did something inappropriate.
Well, that's what I mentioned last week or 2 weeks ago, where they are a nonprofit, and their charter stipulates what their purpose is. And if they're violating their purpose through good faith negotiation of the contract, theoretically, and I use that word theoretically, that could be a reason for the IRS to come in and have a look at their nonprofit organization.
Okay, I got to go and listen to Peter Tosh album about the day Sammy Dollar died.
Hey, there you go. The day the dollar died, man. Take care. Hello. Nobody's here.
Nobody's there.
Nobody's there.
No one's talking
I'm
to us
wanting
today.
somebody there.
Yeah, they don't like us today.
Phone lines are open if you want to talk. Oh, well, we need to get on to the city budget.
Yes, we do.
Because we got a limited amount of time here. So we have been, well, Peter has been doing an analysis of the City of Clear Lake's budget. And it's not a pretty sight.
No, it's not.
70% of the budget of Clear Lake goes to salaries.
Yeah, we got involved. Us got involved in analyzing the Clear Lake City budget only because of the Measure H, is it now? That they're going to put
the
on
so-called road tax.
Yeah, they've got a new road tax. I'm like, we have a road tax new measure, another 1% sales tax increase, and
There's a gas tax already that they don't even spend the money that
Right.
they've gotten for that.
all right, take my thunder.
Sorry.
That's all right.
I'm sorry.
By the way,
Couldn't help
folks,
myself.
my beautiful significant other here is going to be a guest
Oh, yes.
at 1 o'clock this afternoon on. I'd never know the name of the show. I apologize, folks.
Our Stories, Our Lives with Harold.
Yes.
Yes.
And we're going to be discussing, or she's going to be discussing a little bit more about the gas tax and the sales tax Measure H thing, et cetera, et cetera. So stay tuned if you want to get more facts on that. However, for the moment, and I'll probably have to take some more time next week to talking about the City of Clear Lake budget. But to start off with, I have a question for all of you out there. What is a balanced budget? That's my question for you. I want you all to call in and tell me, what is a balanced budget?
Can I give my guess?
Yes.
Isn't it a budget that's supposed to have the expenditures equal the amount of revenue?
No, no one's going to call in.
Well, you said I could try. I'm sorry. I thought you would know. Okay.
Yes, a balanced budget means that your revenues and your
Hold your
expenses
calls,
are
folks.
basically the same.
I blew it.
That's okay. That's number one. Number two is there's a reason why we have a balanced budget, and that is because we don't want to take money out of our pocket, out of our savings account, or maybe money we don't even have, and spend more money than we have coming in. No different than your household budget. Well, for the last, and I only have information from 2011, 2012 year ending, which everyone knows June 30th is the last day of the physical year for the city and for the county. They've been running a deficit every single year. And currently they have, it depends upon what number you want to believe. Let me get to the point. The city manager down there wants to see $1 million in reserves, meaning cash on hand. Yet over the last 3 to 4 years, including the year and a half she's been in her position, they've been running a deficit, meaning they have spending more money than they are bringing in. So I kind of figured out, I know everyone's under a financial strain right now with the economy, and so I started to look at things, and some of these numbers just don't make sense to me. And I'm kind of rambling here because it is very hard.
And it's not, it's a proposed budget.
Yes, it is a proposed. It's not finalized yet. But as my wife just said, right now, the whole personnel, which is i.e. salaries, payroll taxes, and benefits, equals 70% of their budget. Now think about this. You business owners out there, can you run a 70% payroll and survive in business? I know in the hospitality industry, depending upon your fast food or fine dining, in the old days, I used to try to keep a 30 to 35% food and beverage cost combined, and I kept my payroll at the same number. So I had 60 to 70% tied up in payroll and cost of sales with the balance left over for profit and operating expenses. If I had a 70% payroll on top of my cost of sales of 30%, how do I pay my electric and
Well,
rent?
city doesn't really have a cost of
No,
sales.
but it does. It has a lot of different other items that it has to take into consideration. The point is, though, 70% in gross payroll. That, to me, seems high. And if you look at the increases over the last couple of years, and that's what really kind of bothers me more than anything, is just the health insurance alone for the city council people in 2 years has gone up over 15%. And with Obamacare coming in,
It should go down.
with Obamacare coming in, you would think that if they're doing their job in their projections and their budget, that they would
should
look at the
reflect that,
reflect of that cost in there. The city manager in the last 2 years, that position's salary has gone up 76.5%.
No way. In 2 years?
2 fiscal year periods.
And what has she done to bring any
it's not her.
income
That's
into
not-
the
that's not-
city? Or the council or whoever
She's only been there a year.
approving it.
She's only been there a year.
But
I'm
that
not-
increase was in relation to her becoming the city manager.
Maybe. I'm not going to comment on that. All I know is, from strictly a financial point of view, how can anyone provide a 76.5% increase in salaries for that job description in today's economy? That's the second. We have a phone ringing. The next one is the finance department. Has had almost a 50% increase during the same period of time.
And they don't even have a full-time finance person there.
And they have 2.5 EEs. An EE equals a 40-hour work week. So you may have 3 people working, but they only work equivalent of 2.5 weeks.
So that finance person comes in 3 days a week from Napa or some place outside the
Right.
county.
Plus they have 2 clerks.
Theoretically. But
Well-
we don't even know if they exist.
The point is they have someone filling 2 40-hour work weeks in finance.
Plus the part-time
Plus the part-timer. Their average salary, folks, and I'm in the wrong business. Maybe I need to go back and work for people again. Their average salary is almost $90,000 a year with benefits. Okay?
I want to know who these people are and what they're doing to earn that salary.
Yeah, and to be fair, the police department, and I get very critical of law enforcement sometimes, just because that's who I am. But their payroll's only increased 4% a year.
Oh, that's
and that's
not-
reasonable.
that's reasonable.
That's
It's a
more. Matter of fact,
COLA,
that's
yeah.
more than fair, especially with the problems
Cost
that
of
Clear
living
Lake has.
allowance and
Everything.
all
So
that, yeah.
that's kind of cool. But overall, out of roughly $4 million in revenue for the city, we got $3 million in payroll costs.
There's 14 people outside the police department that work for the city.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and that's just the tip of the iceberg, folks.
Hello, you're on the air. Hello, you're on the air. Hello, hello. Caller, you're with us, but we're not hearing you. You should probably call us right back, okay?
Okay. Now, and I'm not going to harp on anything specific today because we don't have that much time. I will harp on this more next week. But here's the thing is, folks,
It's a poor town. 37% of the population is below the poverty level.
Exactly. But here's the other thing. The caller just came back. But here's the other thing is that when I'm looking at the balances in the budget here, and I'm talking about real numbers now, not projected numbers, the numbers don't make sense. For example, they have listed in this stuff I have, PEG TV, Channel 8, which the city of Clear Lake kind of operates financially, shows that they have reserves of almost $32,000 as of July 1st, 2013.
Well, if they had those kind of reserves, they sure wouldn't have a broken camera.
I know for a fact they have just under 10,000.
That's
so
right.
So when I see that as an accountant, as a formal controller,
Who's padding this thing?
no, it's not who's padding. It's who's checking the accuracy. I know we got callers, but hang on. Okay, never mind. Go on. Take the callers.
I'm not saying that.
Oh.
I just want to be able to pick up this call. I'm not trying to interrupt you.
Okay, sorry.
Get off your... There, see?
Gotcha.
Drove them away anyway.
As someone that used to do budgets and oversees budgets and had made people accountable for their budgets, if I see an opening error initially on a balance, that just means the rest of the information is bogus.
Skewed, yeah,
It's
absolutely.
skewed. Thank you. So,
You
go
ready?
ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Hello, you're on the air.
Good morning, guys.
Morning.
Hello.
Yeah, you're bringing up a lot of good points.
Thank you.
Yeah. I just want to kind of deviate a little bit, but it all kind of...
Hey, we like deviants.
Yeah, I thought so. But, I was trying to... I'm really living at below poverty level right now, where I think a lot of people are. And so I went to the clinic in Lakeport, North Lakeport, to get some... see if I could get some dental work done there, And they have sort of a sliding scale deal. I don't have insurance, and so I guess I qualified. But the worst service there that you could ever imagine, and actually got up and walked out.
Wow.
I mean, it was so scary that, and it just appeared to me that there was hardly any people in there, customers. It was just like all staff. So all these people are like working in there and making a living, but they don't want to seem to accommodate the people that actually need the...
Yep, that's the problem. Customer service just has gone down the toilet.
Yeah, it's just like they're all just waiting around for their paychecks or something like that, and fixing their nails and looking good and trying to impress each other, and they don't give a darn about the person, that's got the cavities, or there's something wrong with them, and it's a crying shame. It's just, but it all ties into kind of what you're talking about, like with the government, city government and stuff like that. I think it's the same deal. It's just like all they're concerned about is their paychecks and trying to impress each other, and not thinking about the real issues here, and that's the needs of the actual needs of the people or something.
Yeah.
So.
No, you're absolutely right.
All right, that's my 2 cents.
I wish I could add more to your comments, but you said it all. It's
Well, it's even like you were talking about. Everybody's talking about it. Is this becoming a police state?
Mm-hmm.
So is it everything becoming a police state, where 70% of the whatever revenue is going to the police department, or I don't know. It's crazy. I just, could probably rant and rave forever. But
yeah, I'm sure. Well, I heard a really sad story yesterday. Somebody living in Clear Lake, gentleman is Hawaiian. He was out in his yard doing some work in his yard, and Clear Lake PD came pulling up to his yard and saying, "What are you doing there?" And he's like, "I'm just cleaning my yard." And they said, blah, blah, blah. And I guess they figured out some way that he was, breaking the law. I don't know exactly how. But in the process of the filling out the forms, the one guy says, "So you're Hispanic?" And the guy said, "No, I'm Hawaiian." He said, "Oh, you mean Hispanic?" So he's making these basically racial slurs to the guy, making him think that, disrespecting his culture. And the guy still doesn't know what he did wrong. I mean, he's in his own yard, and they came into his house. They pushed the wife away out of the doorway, literally, and went into the house without any kind of warrant or reason or anything. These were peaceful people. They have 7 kids. They're not like, big criminal types at all.
How do you stand up to people like this?
Well, that's it. I recommended that they go file a complaint, which hopefully they'll be doing today. And not that anything's going to happen out of that, but at least, making it known and making it public is the first step. So, I mean, it's just shameful. And then we're paying these guys to do that. In the meantime, at the same time, there was an assault happening down the road on the same street, and they couldn't be bothered to go and follow up on that. Just really sad people.
There's really crazy stuff going on.
It is.
Well, I hope they can get a handle on it.
Yeah, me too. It'd be really nice if we could have a community we could be proud of. Thank you.
All right, bye.
Take care. Hello, you're on the air.
Hey, guys. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
That sounds like a racial profiling.
Absolutely. I think that's the complaint she's going to be...
I was going to share with you that I was driving behind Century, and there's a little zigzag there that it has no yellow line on it. And like when you're going straight, you turn left and you turn right real fast, That's kind of the zigzag road. But anyway, this cop was sitting about maybe 75 feet, 100 feet from on the left side, and I was going west. He was looking east, and then when he said I went over the yellow line, but I saw him, so I'm not gonna break no law when I see a cop. Right. And so I drove on the road, and I probably went over that where you turn left. I kind of went over that where there's no yellow line there, and kind of went across maybe not even a foot, but I stayed behind the yellow lines, and then I passed him, and we looked at each other, okay? We looked at each other, and then I kept on going. And after he looked at me, he puts it in gear, he turns around, he follows me to the stop sign, I turn left, I start going to Lakeport, and then he stops me. And then he comes through the window on the right side. I roll it down, and he says, "You know why I stopped you?" I go, "I think this is a racist profiling stop." And boy, he looked so mean at me. And he goes, "Why'd you say that?" I go, "Well, because of my long hair and my color. You know, I know racial profiling when they stop people. I've been through it so many times." And he goes, "No." He goes, "You went over the yellow line." He goes, "You're saying you didn't go over the yellow line?" I said, "Maybe a little bit, but it wasn't no yellow line." But anyway, he goes in the back, comes back, and makes me sign a ticket. And I look at the ticket. It's $288.
Oh, my God.
Goodness.
$288 just for having long black hair and a brown, beautiful face.
Hey, at least your hair is black still.
I got some gray with it. I felt it was a profiling thing, so I'm going to fight it in court.
Good. I hope you do.
I'm going to say that to the judge. I know what profiling is.
And if there's no you need to take a picture of that area and show that there's no yellow line. So how could you have crossed the yellow line?
That's it. I took pictures and stuff. I'm going to draw pictures and all that and do all that. But it's come on, man, Jesus. A lot of us are just old timers, and we love long hair because that's who we are, and we're not criminals. We're friendly people.
Yeah, that's very sad. I'm sorry you had to go through that.
I had to share that with you, and plus, that Tracy is not going to court because she's in the hospital, but she's riding around, and they're having parties, going away parties and stuff for her.
Oh, good for her.
Going away
she's
parties?
Having a good time because she knows she's going away. It's a matter of time now. All right.
I just heard they had a going away party or some kind of party.
I think if she's supposed to be in the hospital and supposed to be so sick, maybe some pictures of her running around and partying would be good to have too.
That's what we're telling the people.
We'll be happy to publish them.
Yes, we will.
Okay.
We're working on a story now, so it'd be nice to throw that in there.
All righty then. You guys have a nice day.
You too.
Thanks,
Thank
Annie.
you.
You too. Bye-bye. Yeah.
As you always say, I love our callers.
I do. It's just so obvious that we live in a two-class system here in Lake County, and it's just really sad. It's the haves and the have-nots, and if you're a have-not, well, screw you. That's the way people see us, And if you're a person of color, well, screw you, because nobody cares what happens to you from our government's perspective.
It appears that way anyway.
Okay, so I want to let everybody know that the county budget is posted on the county website, front and center, in the news and highlights section. So if you'd like to analyze the budget, since you have less than a week to do it, I advise you to go there and check it out.
I need to interrupt.
Yes.
Was there any announcement that the budget was on the website?
Not that I've seen.
No.
This is the first announcement we've gotten.
And this is what really
that I've received.
Yeah, this is what bugs me, folks, is that it boils down to communication again.
Yeah.
We as a public have a right to know what's going on, and the county in this particular situation has done what they legally had to do by posting it, but they don't tell anybody.
No, they do that intentionally. They give you short notice because they know that only a person who has a brain like yours could really figure out a year's budget in less than a week. So there's very limited amount of people that would be able to do an analysis.
Guess I know what I'm doing this next week every night.
I guess I know what you're doing too, unfortunately.
Yep.
Hello, you're on the air.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, earlier you were talking about the budget over there in the city of Clear Lake.
Yes.
And I just wanted to point out that, it had been mentioned that the salaries of the police department had not increased dramatically recently, but their operating costs have, because just in the last year alone, their retirement costs went up over $100,000, and also their health care costs went up about the same amount. So it was well over $200,000 that their budget increased by. And the big problem there is that since they signed that 3% at 50 contract, that problem of ongoing retirement costs increases, that's just going to keep going on and on.
That's going to bankrupt the city, isn't it?
Let me interrupt you for 1 second, give you a little bit of tidbit. From a very reliable source, we've heard from the new finance manager that based on what he has seen and what he is seeing in the budgetary process, that the city will be basically bankrupt in the next couple of years.
Well, yeah, that's the thing that's kind of worrisome about their budget, because if you're talking about balanced budget, and yeah, they've got that for this year, but the problem with that is like $300,000 of that was one-time funding from various sources, and then if you add in, an overall increase of over $200,000 a year on the police department, it looks like it'll keep going on out there into the future. Plus, you've got the same problem with healthcare costs going up for the rest of the city staff. It really looks like they're going to be staring at about $500,000 deficit.
Well, the last 2 years they've had over a $350,000 deficit, and yet she still says, "Well, we're going to have $1 million in reserves." They're not. They don't even have a balanced budget properly.
And with her salary, she's eating up most of what the city brings in anyway.
Well, yeah, that's a whole nother issue there. But something else I wanted to point out is that if you look at most of the school district budgets, they're spending 80 to 85% on salaries and benefits. So that's not out of line for a public service operation to have that high an amount of salary and benefit packages.
I don't know. Peter did some comparisons with other counties of similar populations, and I think it did come quite a bit out of line.
Well, I did individual.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at some other city like Ukiah or Orville, similar size, rural, if you look at the percentage of their budgets going to salaries and benefits versus hard items that are being bought, then the scale is dramatically different.
What bothers me, Phil, is that it's the size of the increases that have occurred in key positions over the last few years that there's no reason, if I can come up with, that would demand those type of salaries.
Well, I think there's a lot of questions about their finance department when you're only talking about a $4.5 million budget. Why does it take such an inordinate amount of staff?
Thank you.
To process,
I don't even know if those people exist, Phil. I've been in the city. I know who are the employees, and I don't even see one person that can work in the finance department or who is working in the finance department. So I want names and I want positions from them.
And it's kind of the same thing in the police department, where you look at their chart that shows how the staffing is comprised, but it doesn't add up to the 21.5.
Thank you.
Right, they got 1 lieutenant, 5 sergeants, 14 patrol officers, and 7 dispatchers, something like that.
If you just look at the amount of staff that they claim that they have as sworn officers, 21.5, they're by using their own measurements, it doesn't add up to anything close to that, and you have to wonder, where are those extra positions? Are those people on disability? Are there, is there a bunch of part-time people, or it doesn't make any sense, really.
Well, I know you've gone through this a lot more than I have. Remember, they're using EEs to calculate the number of employees they have, and an EE equals 40-hour work week. So you really need to. They may have a lot more people on staff, though we can't account for them, but they're only working. They're converting everything into equivalent 40-hour work weeks.
Right. Yeah. But the real problem with that city is that it just doesn't have enough revenue for a town of 15,000 people. I mean, they do not have the income to provide the services that they've suggested that they're going to provide.
Okay, well, that's something that the ex-mayor tried to bring to the fore, and because of that, she's now out of it. She's no longer the mayor. One of the things that brought her down was questioning that.
Yeah, and one of the things we got onto the subject because of the road tax, I took a close look at the gas tax, and Joey Lewis is right. Gas tax revenues have fallen over the last few years, but they still have a balance of over $600,000 in reserves that they have not spent on gas tax, and they have no capital improvements budgeted for the next year.
Yeah.
So why are they holding on to that money?
Yeah, I don't. I don't know the ins and outs of how those funds are controlled, but it is kind of a good question. Is when you look at the overview of the budget, and the city manager says the only way we can make things work in the future is to increase revenue or cut services, and cutting services just doesn't seem to be an option. So
they don't have any services,
right?
Exactly.
I mean, they're already to the bone, and it makes you wonder. Okay, well, if the only other option is increased revenues, how exactly are you going to do that?
Well,
if this tax measure doesn't go through, and even if it did, they would still have some of the same basic problems.
Right.
They'd just be able to maybe fix a few little sections of road.
Right.
So,
well, that's the thing, and we're going to talk a little more about the road tax when we get over to Harold's show later on this afternoon at 1:00.
I have one last comment, and then
we have to get going.
Is when Chrysler was declaring bankruptcy, and the United States came in to help it out, what did Lee Iacocca do? He paid himself $1 a year, only because he was required to take a salary by their bylaws. The city of Clear Lake needs to take a real hard look at their total compensation packages to all of their staff, not necessarily the hard-working guys on the street, and say, really, guys, I tell you what, for the next 3 years, you're all taking pay cuts of this amount. You have a choice: either take it or find another job.
Exactly, and that's the smart way to do it. But then nobody ever accused him of being smart.
well, I do think that city manager is going to have to provide some sort of justification for a $225,000 a year compensation package. When, like I've mentioned before, it's only a $4.5 million budget.
Right.
Why is she the highest paid government employee in all of Lake County
when she's not bringing in any revenues to justify her salary?
Well, yes, she's managing such a small budget and a small staff. You can point to a bunch of other people that have way bigger budgets, way bigger staffs, yet they're getting half as much money.
Exactly.
So that needs to be explained.
Okay, well, thanks so much. Talk to you next week. Have a great one. Bye. Okay, that does it for us for today. Another crazy day here on Lake County Magazine with Terry Larson.
And Pete the Tax Guy. We're going to do more than one thing at a time.
I'm so glad you can multitask. And we'll be back next week with more information on the Clear Lake budget and the county budget. And, of course, that'll be the day after the public hearing on the county budget, so we should have a lot of comments to make on that. And in the meantime, you can reach us on Facebook at Lake County Magazine and find us online from there. So thank you so much for tuning in, calling in, and being a part of our show. And we also broadcast this program on Channel 8 on Friday nights from 9:30 to 11:30 p.m. and also on Saturdays from, I believe, 11 to 1. And since I'm not being paid attention to, I don't know if it's being confirmed or not, Mr. Texting.
I'm sorry.
Okay, thanks for joining us, folks. We'll catch up with you next week. We're going to go out with a song called Small Town from Human and the Human Revolution.
Have a great week, folks. Thanks for listening.
Bye. You're listening to KPFC 88.1 FM in Lakeport and all around the lake.
I woke up this morning and the rain was falling down.
We have a change in schedule. Folk Scenes is now going to be following Lake County Magazine, and they'll be up at 11.
It's just another Friday in this sleepy West Coast town. Put on my pants and I put some wood on the stove. Not much changes, but the fire warms the cold. And I grew up here in this town of